This way. Part of it, not all of it, please. Let me test. Test, test, test. Okay. Hello, 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 amigas, and welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. Okay, I'm excited because we have a beautiful soul here with us. I met her at this wonderful event called We All Grow Amigas. And as soon as she spoke, I was like, you need to be on my podcast. And so she talked about this one topic that we're going to get really knee deep in, and it's a rather controversial topic, not for me, but I'm sure for many out there. But I know, amigas out there, you guys are open-minded and you want to hear everything from, as they say, the horse's mouth, right? From someone who knows the industry of cannabis. So, amigas, let me introduce to you this beautiful soul. Her name is Carolina Vazquez. Welcome, welcome, Carolina, to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for the invitation, Jackie, and I'm very happy to be in your podcast. My name, by the way, is Carolina Vazquez Mitchell. When I was getting married, I refused to let my 2 Latin last names go, so now I have 4 names.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that. I was like, oh, wow. Carolina Vazquez Reyes Mitchell.
Mitchell, yeah.
Ándale, ándale. Muy bien, muy bien. Of course. Of course. Like I personally, when I got married, I mean, I don't have a middle name. And when I got married, and I became a lawyer, I was always Tapia. And then, like, well, are you going to change your name? No. Why? I don't even add my husband's name. That's how hardcore I am.
Yeah, I know, but you don't win all the time.
Yeah.
Even Latinas don't win all the time. You have to have to give some things go. So that's what happened. But yeah, so thank you for the invitation again. And I grew up in Mexico, so I'm originally from Guadalajara. Of course, I consider myself Latina, but I consider myself more Mexican than Latina.
Yes, así, sí, señor. Especially like from Guadalajara. Don't they say donde viven los machos, or what is it that they say?
I don't, maybe.
Yeah. They and where the mariachi's from, right?
Yes, tequila, mariachi. I'm originally from Guadalajara, Mexico. I came here 10 years ago, no, 12 years ago, full grown Mexican. Came here when I was 24. Didn't know much English. I came here and I started working as a researcher at the University of Southern California. I'm a chemist, so and if I go a little bit back in my background, I wanted to be a scientist since I was 12 years old, and then at 14 I enrolled in a high school that has also like it was a trade school in high school at the same time. So once you finish your high school, you also have a technical career. And my career was in industrial chemistry. So breweries for beer and tequileras in Jalisco and other industries. Well, they are very big in Guadalajara, very big in Jalisco, and we were training all of that, like big distillation facilities. We actually use the same process to distill alcohol that we use to distill THC from the cannabis plant. So when I was 14, 15, 16, I learned all the processes. I started extracting molecules that are very similar to cannabinoids since I was very young, and I fall in love with chemistry. I have been in laboratories for 20 years by now. All my classes were in like science, thermodynamics, and physical chemistry. I didn't have much classes outside that. Actually, my husband said that I'm kind of like a robot sometimes because I just understand science and that's it. So once I finished that, my high school and my technical career as a chemist, I started a bachelor's degree in pharmacology. So in pharmacology, you learn how molecules work and interact with your body, including drugs. So I fall in love with drugs, the good ones, of course.
Yes.
And how I just found it very, very interesting how a simple molecule can change your behavior or can help you with depression or can help with your pain. And I was just totally um, um, well, confident that I was going to do something in the area of medicine, synthesizing molecules that can help improve your health. So I was very interested in that. And then after that, I wanted to come to the United States and do a PhD in chemistry to continue my career and be more specialized into how to create these molecules. So I came to the United States, but I didn't know English. So I came and I was studying English, but I also started as a research assistant. And that's where I was already working. However, I didn't know much English, but chemistry is the same. Like math, science, chemistry, physics is very similar in Spanish and English. So I was able to do reactions and do experiments and work as a researcher, even when I didn't have 100% English. By now, I learned, I know now.
Yes.
Yeah, and after 2 years of working as a research assistant at the University of Southern California, I started a PhD in chemistry. And I was there for about 4 years, but I got very frustrated in the program because there is a like towards the end of the program, once you finish all your classes, all your work, once you already published, because I published some articles in scientific journals and a book chapter, once you publish everything, you have an exam where you have to prove that you have the brain of a PhD or a doctorate in science, right? So they give you an exam and you have to present a project. And what I presented was a solution for, I presented, we call it a smart devices or a smart insulin device, which was a patch that will go on your skin. And it had a molecule that in contact with lower levels of sugar in your blood will get activated and release insulin into your blood. So you can regulate insulin within having to have these dips and hikes of sugar. Like as soon as your body detects that you have low levels of sugar, it will liberate the insulin into your body and you can regulate it just by having that patch in your body.
Would this be like good for diabetics?
Of course, yeah, and we can do that with other drugs. I mean, you can make a smart molecule, a smart patch that will auto-regulate, so you don't have to take the drug or an injection every 4 hours. However, since I was in a PhD in chemistry, the professors said that my work was more for pharmaceutical science or for medicine. And that I needed to do something totally different. And yeah, I was like, so you want me to be a useless chemist?
Oh my God.
And they were like, yeah, you have to create another project and it might take you another 4 years to graduate and blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
oh, hell no.
I was like,
Oh my
no, like I have spent 6 years by now doing research. I wanted to create something that I believe is useful. And you are telling me, no, that's not a chemist, that's someone in pharmaceutical science or a doctor. And I'm like, are you saying I choose the wrong PhD? Anyway, I decided to get my master's in science and chemistry.
Uh-huh.
And I decided to start my own consulting company where I, as a lead scientist, consult with other companies that wanted to create products like that.
Yeah.
So I started consulting with medical device companies, with supplement companies, nutraceutical companies. And then after that, I started also consulting for food, because there is a very, well, for me, cooking and food is chemistry. Like pretty much that's what
Yeah.
you do in the kitchen. You
Right.
do small chemical reactions, right? Like
Yeah.
you do ceviche, you put the shrimp on the lemon and you make the protein of the shrimp to degrade. Well, anyway, it's a chemical reaction.
Right.
Ceviche is a chemical reaction, cooking, baking. So I started making difficult projects for food for these big companies. I even worked in a project for Pepsi. And they wanted to create a specific product that needed, we call it molecular cuisine or something like that. I don't know if you have heard the term, but it's where you use like very specific chemical reactions
Uh-huh.
to make something. And they wanted me to create a very specific product, and I created for them. So I started to get more involved into the food industry and these very hard specific food projects. And then I started helping cannabis companies, because it's kind of the same concept. Like once you are cannabis, you are making food, right? Like if you think about cannabis edibles, like a gummy or a chocolate or a cookie, brownie, blah, blah, blah. You're thinking about food, but you're introducing a drug on it.
Yeah.
So you need to know about pharmacology plus chemistry and food, because after all, it needs to taste good. You cannot make just something with a drug that tastes awful, that is just a pill or a capsule or whatever. But the cannabis industry has a lot of challenges, and you have to know your knowledge about creating foods that taste good, that are stable, chemically stable, and also pharmacologically effective and stable. So I was very excited about this area, because I was like, oh, I love food. I'm a Latina, I like cooking. I'm Mexican, I like cooking. I'm a chemist, and I have always loved chemistry. And I'm a pharmacologist as well, and I love drugs, and I want to create products that people will try and people will benefit from it.
Right.
Of course, there is the recreational aspect of cannabis, right? However, in my perspective, like even though it's a drug, I think it's a solution for other drugs. So I think rather than cannabis being a problem, it will be a solution for many other addictive drugs like opioids and painkillers and alcohol and nicotine, tobacco. So I think it's a big solution for all those drugs that have proven to have many side effects. And however, we haven't even found anything in cannabis that have such a drastic side effect. We have seen from even pregnant women. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that. But even we haven't found, and when I say we, scientists, the science community, haven't found effects like we found with other drugs on the fetus or on the new baby or on the mom, like you have found with other drugs.
Yeah, that's right.
Again, I'm not recommending it. Saying that,
yeah, if you're pregnant out there, don't do this.
No, don't listen to me. Don't say, hey, a scientist said that I can't smoke.
You actually have to seek the advice of your own medical doctor.
Yes.
So, I love this topic of the solution for the drugs, for the other drugs, right? I mean, let's really talk about that, because I think, okay, so I'm this person who really believes, I mean, and some may even say like I'm controversial, or that, you know, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like the, you know, the medicine is out there to cure many, many ailments.
Mhm.
And I feel that this medicine, which comes from Mother Earth, is here to cure people, but you know, these pharmaceutical companies don't want you to really try them because they're not going to give them enough money because they want people to be sick. So that's my conspiracy thought process kind of gal. Now you're saying that the cannabis is a solution for other drugs.
Yeah.
And I love that. So why don't you speak more about that, please? Like, can you tell us like specifics, like what do you find? Because you were mentioning before about your patch, and
Mhm.
I feel like that would help out diabetics,
Mhm.
right? So in what areas do you see cannabis playing and helping people?
Well, I see four main areas, and actually, so in my company now, that now after I consulted with many companies and consulted with cannabis companies, I decided to start my own company. I also work for a cannabis testing facility, but testing was still kind of boring, and creating products was much more exciting. So I decided to start my own company, Ciencia Labs. I call it Ciencia because the science in Spanish, and labs, well, Ciencia Labs, right? It makes total sense for me.
Right.
And we created four different brands for the four main reasons that people use cannabis, but also they are the four, in my perspective as a scientist, the four aspects of health where cannabis have been proven to help, right? Because there's a lot of people out there and a lot of companies that said, oh, this cannabis science is so new, we still don't know much. And there are at least 60 years of research in cannabis.
60. 60.
Yeah, 60. The THC molecule was isolated. That means that it was like identified, isolated in 1960. So it has been 60 years of research, and once they discover and they observe such like the strong effect that THC had in our system, they started to make tests in everything, like started to test THC from any single problem they can think of, right? And after doing so many clinical trials, there are four reasons that cannabis help with. The first one is to reduce some of the addiction from other drugs. Like there is a specific effect that THC has in THC and CBD. CBD actually has a very strong effect on that to reduce the sensitivity to it's kind of very complex. We still don't understand, but it reduces the craving of other drugs. So it in the cannabinoids, THC and CBD actually are not very high addictive. People believe that so there are people that consume a lot of cannabis, right? That they can consume a joint or like a lot of cannabis, and that surprised me, and a normal person cannot handle that amount. But that's tolerance. You can create a very high tolerance to cannabis, but that doesn't mean that it's addictive. It's not the same. Having a
Yeah.
high tolerance to cannabis and having to take a lot of cannabis to feel the effect is not the same as addictive. Addictive is the fact that you need to take the drug very constantly and with high frequency, because otherwise you cannot function. And that's not the case of cannabis. I mean, they might be people that said, oh, I have to smoke a joint every day. But I mean, there are people that say the same about coffee, or say the same about working out every morning before they go to work, or like those are habits.
Yeah.
So it can be habit forming, but it's not addictive, because of there are specific specific signs or things that we observe in the brain once there is an addictive molecule in your brain, such as cocaine, caffeine, nicotine. Those are very addictive.
Yeah.
THC is not addictive. It's habit forming, but you can make a habit of absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And you can yeah, and you can have high tolerance, but it's not addictive. It's different.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problems that you can solve with cannabis. It reduces your craving for other drugs like tobacco, nicotine, caffeine, cocaine, or opioids.
I
That's
see
one of the
why.
big problems.
I totally see now why pharmaceutical companies would not want you guys in the market. I mean, really, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The research is
and
out there.
is where is so that's one of the issues. Also, as a recreational drug, you need a lot less than taking alcohol. Like with 5 milligrams of THC, you can feel euphoria and feel happy, or any benefits that you think you get from alcohol, you can get it from a low dose of THC, which is extremely cheap.
Yeah.
Uh, alcohol companies don't like that, because you can spend hundreds, literally thousands of dollars in a bottle of wine or champagne or whatever, or go to a bar and drink and spend a lot of money. And that alcohol companies, the alcohol industry doesn't like that, because you need to take a lot of beer. You can have 30 beers if you really want to,
Yeah.
but you cannot have that much THC.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one of the issues that I see that you can solve cannabis. Of course, there's going to be alcoholism and problems like that, and hopefully we can reduce it with the introduction of a drug that is less addictive.
Yeah.
The other issue is the sleep. So that's very, the sleep industry is a billion and multiple billion industry. There are many drugs out there, and I was victim of the pharmaceutical industry. It started with NyQuil, or the herbal supplements like just natural melatonin, valerian root, and all of those compounds. However, THC is extremely effective with the sleep disorders. It's very, very effective. It has been proven. And with very low amounts of THC, you can induce sleep, which is pretty amazing. And there is some misconception out there that there are other cannabinoids. That's a little bit more specific, but THC specifically has been proven to help with the sleep. And what we did in my company was like, okay, well, THC helps with the sleep. However, it's not perfect, like nothing. Nothing is perfect. THC also have some things that are not great about it. It's not like everything is perfect. THC can improve your sleep, but it make you lower your REM sleep, or rapid eye movement phase of sleep. And that sleep is essential for in order to assimilate all new synapses created during the day. Like it can, if you don't have REM sleep, that can hinder your learning, just learning new things, right? Because you have to assimilate all the knowledge that you absorb. It's like to really consolidate all those new memories and new synapses that you created during the day, and in order to really put it into your brain, and get the short-term memory into the long-term memory. And that's how you learn, in your brain grows and you create more synapses. And if you only take THC during your sleep, you can affect that REM sleep. So what we do in my company is we mix THC with other compounds that help you with REM.
Oh, okay.
So that's when we introduce the melatonin, the valerian root extract, the L-theanine, GABA, all those. Some of them are neurotransmitters, some of them are neurohormones, some of them are natural compounds that interact with your opioid receptors, but all of them in a mixture, in a special and proprietary mixture with THC, help you to have your sleep plus REM sleep, to have a more complete sleep rather than just taking cannabinoids.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, because as a scientist and a pharmaceutical person, or a pharmaceutical scientist, I wanted to create a more complete product,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it makes
So
sense.
that's one of the problems.
And
This
so,
is the second problem.
oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go
Uh,
ahead. Right.
And now the third problem that cannabis can help with is anxiety or stress. And some people is like, oh, but like I have read that if you take too much cannabis, you get very anxious and you go crazy. Yeah, you can, of course, but it's all about the doses. It's all about how you take it, when you take it, and how much you take, right? So we develop an account. We develop different products. We develop a line of products specifically for anxiety. Like we developed the brand for sleep, which is Dreamt. We developed the one for recreational purposes, which is Luchador, because I like lucha libre. And we created the stress relief brand, which is Quell, like quell your anxiety, quell your stress. And in this one, I went very into like all these herbs that we use in Mexico and Latin America, like passiflora, and passion fruit flower, or green tea, and other compounds, chamomile or manzanilla, lavender, lavanda or lavendula. So I use all of these extracts from different plants to give you that stress relief or anxiety relief.
Yeah.
But I'm also using cannabinoids. In this case, I'm using a lower concentration of THC because that has been proven to help with anxiety. A low concentration of THC helps you for anxiety. But that's the trick. Use a low concentration of THC. It uses CBD in a higher concentration, and it uses CBG. And all of those cannabinoids have scientific journal publications and clinical trials that prove that they're effective for stress relief, panic disorders, panic attacks, and anxiety disorders. So I use a specific combination of 3 different cannabinoids, plus these all other natural compounds, and all of this in a simple formulation, which is a gummy or a tincture, to help you with your stress relief. And you can take this formulation during the day. So I created it specifically for people that work, and I take it every day, actually, in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't make you groggy. It doesn't make you feel high. It just makes you feel good during the day.
Nice.
So and finally, we have another brand coming, which is for pain relief. And a lot of like maybe grandma and moms, and you have heard a lot of people that uses cannabis for sleep, for sleep too, but for pain. And that is also proven. The THC and CBD especially can reduce inflammation. CBD is 2 times more potent than some steroids, and 10 times more potent than salicylic acid or aspirin. So CBD is a very potent anti-inflammatory, and THC together in combination with CBD have been proven to reduce pain and inflammation. So I'm developing, that's our last line of development. We're just waiting on we by now have 14 different SKUs. but we are in the pathway of growing our company to start developing this new pain relief brand that we think is going to it is going to be patches, capsules, topicals, gels, and everything that can help you to reduce and manage your pain.
Oh my God. Now you get to do the patch, right?
Yeah. Si ríe el último, ríe mejor.
Yeah, así es. Oh my God, it's like, take that, professor. Wow.
Actually, a funny story, and I think I said it in the We All Grow Latinas founders event, that after I decided to leave the PhD program and I started my company, I started having calls and emails and LinkedIn messages from peers at the PhD program, people that stayed and finished their PhD, and now they are doctors in philosophy and chemistry, asking me for jobs. And I have to say, I'm sorry, you don't have the experience.
That's
Like,
right.
what can I do? Like, yes, you have a PhD, but
Yeah. Oh
you don't
my.
have the experience.
Right. Right. Oh wow. It's incredible. I'm glad that you're doing this because it's so important for you to follow your path.
Mhm.
Like you knew, like, oh no, professor, no, I think that you're very wrong in that in the fact that what I want to do doesn't allow you to be whatever a doctor in chemistry because you decided that. No way. I'm glad that you chose your path and that you created a company that is going to help countless of individuals in all aspects. And I think here at Amiga Handle Your Shit is this is it. Like you're handling your shit. Like literally. You really found your passion and your worth, and how you using your skills, your talent, your knowledge as a scientist for the betterment of our humanity.
Mhm.
Because many of us have a lot of pain, many of us have anxiety,
Mm.
especially now. And so, how apropos that you have a product that can be accessible to all of us. So, where can we find your product?
We're in about 250 different stores around California. Since we just started two and a half years ago, but we have grown a lot. There are some companies that have been in the market for 3 years, 4 years, and they're in 30 dispensaries. Like I have met people that even people that have it started with an investment of $3 million, and now we started with a fraction of that. Like I'm Mexican, I know what to do it smart. I don't need like I see a lot of these companies like, oh, we have to make gummies or we have to make beverages, and they spend thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe $1 million in buying an equipment because they don't know otherwise how to do a product.
Mm.
And I'm like, no, like I know how to do this. Like I'm a scientist. And I actually started this company with a friend from the PhD program. She finished a PhD program before me. But between me and her, we are like, we can figure this out. We don't need $1 million in equipment. We can do this. Like we are women, we are extremely capable,
Mm.
and we can figure things out. We don't need like all this equipment and expensive materials to do what we have to do. And I'm comparing myself with companies that raise a lot of money. Now, actually, know a company that is out of the market by now, and they were never in over 30 dispensaries. We are in 250 with a fraction of the money that they invested because we really know how to spend all of resources. I
Mhm.
mean, we're smart.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah, like
one.
between me and my partner, Dr. Janice Babush, we handle everything. Like we have our guys that help us with sales and kind of go and talk and the business thing part. But we handle all the production. We manage the difficult part of it. Like we create all the quality assurance programs. We deal with all of our production employees, with all the procurement of materials, packaging, designs, new recipes, like everything on that. Of course, that's not the companies, of course, have to have marketing, have to have finance, have to have sales, and a lot of politics, but the core of it is between me and another female founder.
Así es. Sí se puede. Like this is amazing. I love this conversation. We get to have women like you on this podcast to illustrate that it's possible. You didn't even know how to speak English and you came to
Mm.
the country, and look at you now. Look at you now. I'm so, so excited for everything that you're going to be doing, and you already have. And I think we might have to have you back again after you release the pain relief.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to get our products, you just go to our website, ciencialabs.com, and you look for the brand that you're interested in, Luchador brand, which is recreational, and we sell gummies and tinctures. We are planning to release joints, pre-rolls, no joints,
Pre-rolls, yeah.
pre-rolls. We have the Dream line, which is for sleep. We have a beverage, a gummy, a tincture, and an inhalable. All of them very effective for sleep. We have Quell for anxiety. Currently, we have a gummy and a tincture. We're planning to release more products in the future. But you click on the product, either if you want something for partying, something for sleep, or something for anxiety. And then you go to the store locator, and then it tells you exactly where to find it or which services, like there is platforms that are like Instacart, but for cannabis.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of those, and you can buy the product through those services.
Wonderful. Now, this podcast is global. So if someone does not live in California, can they get access to this?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Not right now because of the regulations in California. They only allow you to produce and sell in the state where you are making the cannabis. So we are planning to expand into Nevada, Michigan, New York, other states, but
Yeah.
it takes time.
Yes. Oh, I
We're
know.
planning to expand. We have a lot of people that are even in Canada, like, oh, you have to come to Canada. Your products, we receive emails every day about like, there is nothing that makes me sleep but your vaping. And I have to go to California to get it. Or like we have people in dispensaries also that are like, I have to have my pen. Nothing helped me more than this. We see like some people asking, what is your direct competition? Sorry, someone is knocking my door.
No problem.
Can I stop this for a second?
Yes, absolutely.
The person is not stopping, so let me.
Okay. Yeah, just mute it. I
Yeah.
won't hear anything. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. So yeah, we can only sell in California. We are trying to expand. We have people all around United States and from another countries telling me that I should be there already.
I know. They need to change the law here in the United States.
Yeah, they need to change it. We're planning in maybe developing products with CBD only.
Mhm.
But I'm faithful
Yeah.
with the THC products. They're very effective, but we are trying to find some options for people that wants to buy our product all around United States.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that. And I'm glad that there are opportunities. And so I'm so grateful that I get to be in your circle and
Oh yes.
be a part of your
Yeah,
team.
announcing here. Jackie is one of my investors for my company. I'm
Yeah.
very proud that Jackie is actually my first Latina and Latina together with her husband. They're the first Latinos in our investor round. So I'm very happy. I'm very proud of bringing the Latin power into my company.
Yes, yes,
Very
amen. And I
proud.
know there's going to be so much wonderful things. I mean, my draw to it is on the medical side because as a lawyer, not anymore because I completely changed the trajectory of my life. Um,
Mhm.
there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and I wish I had something like this that could have helped me, and I know that for my husband as well, like, using these products are going to help him also as well. And when you're in a high stress, high demand type of role,
Mhm.
it's important to pick a brand that is in alignment with you. And
Mhm.
I really am super grateful that I get to be a part of this with Ciencia Labs, and you guys are amazing. And so before I let you go, I want to find out if you have one or two tips on how an amiga can handle her shit.
Well, it might sound like a cliche, but found your passion. If your passion is money, well, find ways to find that passion, that money, right? Uh, but I was true to myself from the beginning.
Mm.
I wanted to be a scientist, and it can be that you want to be an artist or you want to focus on social areas. But if you, I'm a chemist, I'm a scientist, and I was lucky enough to find ways to make profit out of it. But I think that's what happened when you are very passionate about something,
Yeah.
right? So find your passion, but don't just sit around waiting for people to come knock your door and say, hey, do you have passion for something? Like that doesn't work. You have to, and being a passion also means you have to be an expert on that.
Mm.
Like if you want to be a social worker, what learn about that, learn about how to help people, learn about the different institutions that can help you grow as a social worker. If you're in marketing, learn marketing tools, be on the top of what are the tools that you can use, the companies that can help you grow, classes that you can take, uh do networking. Just don't sit around waiting for, I mean, God to come and say, oh, and hear, I don't know, a holy music and bells, and oh, we are going to help you. No, that's not going to happen if you just sit around wanting and waiting. And I know that maybe people is like, oh, I'm just going to pray and I'm just going to really want it very hard, but you
And no
don't do
action.
anything towards your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. Sometimes when I started my company, I have to work for free. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but sometimes you have to do sacrifices. And I have to, and it was very humbling because I was in a PhD program. I have been studying for 20 years, and now I have to work in projects where I'm either being paid very little, but that helped me to learn in the process. I took that, like, every time you have an opportunity to learn something, even if you are going to do a project that is just a project that you are going to do it voluntarily, you're going to learn something. It's like your own internship. You create your own internships. Like if you're in marketing, you can be like, oh, I'm just going to help you, and you learn in the process, and it's like you're like paying or you're getting a workshop for free. Like, go there, don't be afraid, don't sit around, And if you have a passion, really embrace that passion. Learn and work hard, because it's hard. It's hard, but it's rewarding. Who knew I was going to own a multi-million dollar company right now? Well, it's not like I have pounds or money sitting around, right? I mean, but we are creating a lot of profit right now. We this year on run rate is over 2 million. So I never imagined, and once I translate that into pesos, I'm like, wow.
What?
What?
King?
Yeah, so nobody imagined, I didn't imagine I was going to do this, and it took a lot of work, but I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
not stopping, and I'm learning every day. I still learning, and every time I have a project that wasn't as successful as I thought it was going to be, I just take it as a learning experience, and I now know what not to do.
Yeah.
But it helps me to keep growing.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, finding our passion, I think for some people it's a little bit more difficult, but it's necessary. If you want to succeed in your life, you do need to find your passion. And what I'm thinking is that once you know your passion, you work whatever hours you got to go, but it goes by and it's not like it doesn't have to have anxiety attached to it. Because if you love what you do, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
Something that I tell to, actually, I was talking with my nephew, because he told me, I'm just preoccupied. I'm just preoccupied. And I say, well, being preoccupied is like, just, you are not occupied. You're just wasting your time before you are actually occupied. What about you start being occupied
Yeah.
rather than just being preoccupied? Like, do something.
Yeah.
That's kind of like that erases your anxiety. If every day before going to bed you said, I did what I could with what I have, I think you can really lower the levels of stress, because you really did something. But if you just spend all day preoccupied about something without doing nothing, without being occupied, it just builds up until you cannot sleep. But you can take
And
dreamt,
then you can
and in the morning you take quell, and that's it.
And then on that note,
Yeah. And if you want to forget about everything, take luchador and get super high and
there you
party
go.
around in one of our wrestling events, where we threw wrestling events around California. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, amigas, their luchador product is especially perfect for when you want to go and be a luchador. Oh, thank you so much, Carolina. And I love this conversation. And amigas, you know, just follow your passion and just really find that and do something about it. Don't just sit. Don't just sit. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes passion is a purpose. Like, if you have a purpose, you can find ways to get to that goal. Like, even if you're not passionate right now, you will find it once you see a clear goal and a clear purpose.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Carolina. And I get to talk to you more often nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Welcome to
right.
the Ciencia Labs team.
Yes, Ciencia Labs. Thank you so much for being on Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Thank you.